Congratulations on choosing an Audi. Over the next few minutes, I'll be explaining its main features and controls, and I'll be giving you some useful tips and advice. I won't be covering every last detail, so if there's something you'd like to know more about, you should either refer to the handbooks that come with the car or ask at your Audi centre. I'll also be covering more than one model in the range, so you may find one or two of the features I mention aren't on your particular car. Every car comes with 4 keys, 2 master keys, a workshop key and a handy little spare key that you can keep in your wallet or purse for emergencies. The workshop key has a little adjustable spanner symbol on the side, and unlike the master keys, which operate all locks, it can't open the boot or the glove box. Oh, by the way, when I mention boot, I also mean tailgate if you've bought an Avant. Anyway, if you want to leave anything in the car while it's being serviced or perhaps driven by someone else, you can lock it away using the master key and just give the driver the workshop key. If your car has remote central locking, you'll have 2 fold-away master keys instead, with buttons for locking and unlocking the car. Remote keys can also be programmed so that only the driver's door is opened when you press the unlock button. To unlock all the doors, just press the button again. If you'd like this security feature, please ask your Audi centre. Whatever system you have, your keys will come with a little tag like this, which has the reference code for reordering keys on it. Now, it's very important that you keep this tag in a safe place. Whatever you do, don't leave it in the car, as somebody else could get hold of it and use it to order a duplicate. Replacement keys can only be ordered through an Audi centre by quoting this reference number. And remember, if you do lose one, you never know. It may have been stolen. So it's important that you tell your Audi centre because they can program your car not to accept that particular key. Now, with all the doors closed, for added security, the central locking system can be engaged by pressing this button. Incidentally, the boot and the fuel filler cap will also be locked at the same time. To unlock, either press the button again or just pull the door handle. Every time you lock the car, the alarm system will arm itself automatically. A little red light flashes next to the locking knob to confirm the alarm is on. When locking the car, if you've left a window down or the sunroof open, you don't have to close them individually because Audi have developed a useful little system called automatic close. Just insert the key in the lock, turn it, and keep it in that position until everything's shut. You can do the same with remote central locking by keeping your finger on the locking button. You can also open the windows in the same way when unlocking the car. Either hold the key in the lock or keep your finger on the unlocking button. Now, apart from being able to unlock and lock the car from the boot, you can also lock the boot independently from the central locking system. This is a very useful feature if you intend to leave anything in the car, because if you're unfortunate enough to have it broken into, the thief won't be able to open the boot. When you next unlock the car, you'll only be able to open the boot by unlocking it separately. Oh, and if you're worried about getting into the car on a freezing winter's day, the driver's door lock is heated. At temperatures below 5 degrees centigrade, the heater's switched on when you pull the door handle. Before you drive the car, make sure you're comfortable. First, adjust the seat. You can move it backwards and forwards by pulling this lever at the front. Set the height by pulling this lever. This large wheel at the side adjusts the angle of the seat back. And if you have sports seats fitted, you'll also have this small wheel, which means you can adjust the amount of padding or lumbar support for the natural curve of your spine. Finally, adjust the head restraint. so the top is at eye level. Once you're comfortable, you can then set the steering wheel position by releasing this lever underneath. You can adjust it for both the angle and the reach, and the ideal position for most people is when their arms are outstretched, their wrists rest on top of the wheel. When you've found your ideal position, push the lever back to lock the steering wheel in place. The seatbelt height can be adjusted on the door pillar. All you have to do is slide the guide up or down until the diagonal part of the belt passes over the centre of your shoulder. Once you've done that, pull the belt sharply to make sure the catch is properly engaged. Now, to show you the other controls, I'll insert the key in the ignition. When you turn the key, the car checks the coding against its own sensors, and at the same time, this light comes on the dashboard for a few seconds. If the code matches, it switches off the immobiliser system and allows you to start the car. The main instruments are first, the engine oil temperature gauge. Then there's the clock, which can be adjusted by pulling out this knob. In its normal position, if you twist the same knob, it varies the intensity of the instrument lighting. And if you push it in, it also runs a test program on all the instrumentation. Next, there's the rev counter. For the first 600 miles, try to avoid high revs so the engine runs in smoothly. The fuel tank holds around 60 litres when full, and there's about 8 litres left when the needle reaches reserve. And finally, there's the voltmeter, which should be reading between 12 and 16 volts when the engine's running, and the cooling system temperature gauge. The needle should stay somewhere close to the centre once the car is warmed up. There's also a series of warning lights, some of which come on briefly when you start the car and then go out. This one, for instance, is telling you that the anti-lock braking system is working correctly, but if it stays on, you should call your Audi centre. Under the central warning lights, there's an outside temperature display. If the temperature drops below 5 degrees centigrade, a little snowflake symbol appears alongside. That's just a reminder to take extra care, as there could be ice on the road. Directly under the speedometer is the trip meter, which can be reset by pressing the button next to the speedometer. Whenever servicing is required, the trip meter is replaced by the service indicator, which flashes one of 3 possible displays when the ignition is switched on. Oil means an oil change is due. In 1, a routine service, and in 2, additional servicing work. In, by the way, is short for inspection. The indicator usually comes on about 10 days or 600 miles before servicing is required, as a reminder to book your car into an Audi centre. After about a minute, the display goes out and is replaced by the trip meter. On the left of the steering column, the stalk nearest to you operates the lights. Up once for side lights, up again for dipped headlights. For main beam, push the larger stalk in front forwards and pull it towards you to flash the headlights. This stalk also operates the indicators. The stalk on the right operates the windscreen wipers, screen wash and headlight washers if fitted. Up once for intermittent, up again for slow wipe, and the final position is fast wipe. For a single wipe, push the stalk down from the off position and release it. To wash the windscreen, pull the stalk towards you. If headlight washers are fitted, the headlights will also be washed. Oh, by the way, the headlight washers only work when the headlights are switched on, and you won't have to worry about any of the washer jets freezing in winter, as they're all heated. The door mirrors are also electrically heated and can be adjusted from the driver's door. Just turn the knob to the mirror you want to adjust, then set it to the correct position using the multi-directional switch. All the electric windows can be controlled from the driver's door. If rear electric windows are fitted, You'll also have this safety switch. In the up position, the rear windows are isolated, so young children won't be able to play with them. If your car is fitted with the acoustic parking system, you'll hear this sound whenever you select reverse. The system uses sensors on the rear bumper, which start to warn you as soon as the rear of the car is less than 1.6 metres away from an object. As you get closer to the object, the frequency of the warning signal increases, becoming a continuous tone when you're only 20 centimetres away, so make sure you stop. The button down here switches off the interior sensors for the alarm system, useful if you want to leave a pet in the car and still set the alarm. If you have a sunroof, it can work in two different ways, slide or tilt. Rotate the knob to the left for slide, and the dial adjustment means you can select any position you like, or to the right for tilt. To close it, just turn the dial back to the centre position. On the centre console, there's a row of switches for the front fog lights if fitted, rear fog lights, heated rear window and heated door mirrors. Oh, by the way, this one switches off automatically after 10 minutes. Hazard warning lights and the headlight beam height control. Usually this is left on 0, but you can rotate the thumb wheel to keep the headlight beam level when you're carrying different loads. You may also have a switch for ASR, the traction control system. Should you switch it off, a light will appear on the dashboard as confirmation. Your A4 is also fitted with a driver's information system, which includes an auto-check system and an onboard computer. The auto-check system continuously monitors a number of the car's more important systems, and when you switch the ignition on, the system automatically checks everything except the brake lights. On manual cars, it will display this sign to prompt you to press the brake pedal and complete the check. Usually, the check ends with the OK symbol, indicating there's nothing wrong, but if a fault is found or maintenance is required, the appropriate symbol will appear in the display and you will hear a warning sound. Depending on the priority of the warning, the symbols will be either red or yellow. Red symbols are accompanied by 3 chimes. And you must stop the car as soon as possible. Further advice on the fault can be obtained by either pressing the test button, or for a fuller explanation, you should look in your owner's handbook. Yellow symbols are accompanied by 1 chime. This one means that one of the brake lights is broken and needs replacing. This one is a reminder to top up the screen wash. The onboard computer is controlled via the switch on the end of the windscreen wiper stalk. It's actually quite easy to use, and you can run through the various functions in sequence by repeatedly pressing either the top or bottom of the switch. There are 5 different functions in all. Instantaneous fuel consumption, in other words, how much fuel you're using at that particular instant. Then there's fuel range, which gives you an idea of how many miles are left in the tank. This will vary depending on how the car's being driven, but my advice is not to let it get too low. This one tells you how long you've been driving. After more than 2 hours continuous driving, the display will automatically start flashing to remind you to take a break. You can turn it off by pressing the reset button underneath the stalk. This button can also be used to reset other functions as well. Next, there's average fuel consumption. If you want to measure your fuel consumption over a particular journey, then press the reset button at the start. And finally, there's average speed. This can also be reset at the beginning of your journey. A preset speed limit can also be set on the auto-check system, which will trigger a warning signal if it's exceeded. This is particularly useful when driving abroad, as it can be set to the country's national speed limit. There are 2 ways of doing this, and both are shown in the owner's handbook. Your A4 is equipped with the concert sound system. The system has a number of features, including an optional CD changer, but I'm only going to run through the main ones. For a more thorough explanation, you should ask someone at your Audi centre for a demonstration or consult the separate handbook. This also has the security code number for the radio system. Now, it is important that you cut this out and keep it in a safe place, ideally with your key code reference tag. To switch the radio on, press the centre button, which is also the volume control, and select either AM or FM. You can store up to 12 FM and 6 AM stations by pressing one of the preset numbers until the sound mutes. The corresponding red light will come on to confirm the station's been stored. To get an idea of what's available in your area, you can always try the scan button, which plays each available station for 8 seconds.
Yes, now to the phones, if you'd like to comment on any of today's news stories or anything else for that.
Or you can try the auto store function, which automatically stores the 6 strongest signals on each waveband. To adjust the volume between the front and the rear speakers, press the fader button and turn the knob. The balance, bass and treble can all be adjusted in the same way. The radio is also equipped with RDS. It only works on FM and it automatically selects the strongest signal from a particular station. If you want to, you can switch it off by pressing RDS and the little red light on the button will go out as confirmation. Now, if you want to be kept up to date with the traffic news, then press the TP button and the radio will automatically interrupt whatever you're listening to whenever traffic information is transmitted. This information is also stored and can be replayed by pressing the TP button briefly.
On the roads, we're getting reports of traffic build-ups on the M6 at junction 18 and heavy tailbacks on the M52 at junction 4 heading north.
If you want to switch off the TP function, press the button for about 2 seconds or switch to AM. The cassette player is switched on by either inserting a tape or pressing the mode button. You can spool through tapes using the fast rewind and fast forward buttons, and the CPS facility allows you to go directly back to the beginning of the current track or forward to the beginning of the next track. When you press the scan button, the tape will fast forward and play the first 8 seconds of each track. When you get to the track you want, press scan again and that track will play. To switch to the other side, press the reverse button, and to eject a tape, press the fast rewind and fast forward buttons together. The electronic climate control system is just below the hi-fi. As the name suggests, it automatically regulates the fan speed, direction and temperature, provided the auto button is selected. You select the interior temperature via the plus and minus buttons. This button is for the windscreen demister, and when the engine's running, this button switches the cooler off and on. You can also operate the system manually and choose your own fan speed and the direction of the air to either the windscreen, your face and the side windows, or finally the footwells. This button recirculates the air inside the car, but don't leave it on for too long. If the windows start to mist up, then just press the button again to switch it off, or press the demister button. Now, I prefer the temperature in Fahrenheit, so I usually reset the system. First, press the air recirculation button, then, whilst holding it down, briefly press the plus button on the temperature gauge. 71 degrees, that's more like it. On a hot day, you may be tempted to run the air conditioning with the window down or the sunroof open, but this will reduce its efficiency. You may also see a pool of water under the car after you've parked it for a while. This is quite normal and is due to ice melting from the outside of the cooler. The satellite navigation system uses information from a minimum of 4 satellites to constantly monitor the position of your car as it directs you to your chosen destination. Information for the system is stored on a CD, which fits in a special player in the boot. You may need to update this disc from time to time, and if you're travelling abroad, you can insert a disc for the particular country you're driving in. Your Audi Centre will be able to advise you on future upgrades and other discs. The system is operated using these controls, and details are displayed on the driver's information system. Press this button to switch the system on, and the message "No destination available" will appear in the display after a few seconds. If the system has already been used, then the last destination will be shown instead. Begin by pressing Enter, and the display will give you 4 options. If an asterisk appears against any of these options, it means they're not currently available on this version of the CD, but may be included in future upgrades. Memory allows you to recall at least 15 pre-stored destinations. If your destination isn't in the memory, you'll need to select Town or City if you want to go to a different town or city than when you last used it. Select Local if your destination is in the same town or city as when you last used the system. And finally, Distant allows you to choose a specific destination such as a motorway junction, service area or airport. For this demonstration, I'm going to Station Road in Winchester, so I'm going to select Town or City and press Enter. An alphanumeric display will now appear, and you simply enter your destination and press Enter. Once you've entered 2 or more letters, press Enter and hold the button down for a few seconds, and a list of towns will appear in the display. Then just scroll down the list till you find the appropriate one and press Enter. In this case, I'm going to enter the street name. Once again, you can use the shortcut option, pressing Enter when you've found the right street. Now I've entered my destination, I can store it if I want to. Press Return to go back to the previous menu, and this time I'm going to press Start. The system now calculates the route.
The route is being calculated.
This can take up to 30 seconds.
The route has been calculated.
You're now ready to go. If the system recognises the street you're in, it will immediately begin to direct you. If it doesn't recognise where you are, then the message "Off-road" will appear in the display. Don't worry about it, just drive in the direction of the arrow, and as soon as the system recognises your location, it will begin to direct you. The directions are given well in advance.
Turn right after 200 yards.
A bar graph on the right-hand side of the display will show you exactly when to change direction. As soon as you've turned, the system will give you the distance to the next turn or the next street name in the top right-hand corner. At the bottom of the display, it will show the street you're travelling in. If you make a wrong turn, the system will automatically calculate a new route and will advise you accordingly.
Make a U-turn if possible, then take the next left immediately.
There's one button I haven't mentioned yet, Info. Press this and it will give you the current distance to your destination. Audi do their best to ensure the information on the discs is as accurate as possible. But remember, road directions such as give way and stop signs, turning restrictions and one-way streets must always take priority. Now, there's some minor maintenance and several safety features you should be aware of. Let's start by taking a look under the bonnet. The release catch is in the footwell. Although I've pulled the release inside the car, for safety reasons the bonnet won't be fully released until I've pulled this additional catch in the front grille. And the bonnet is spring-loaded, so it'll stay up on its own. Two things you should check on a regular basis are the windscreen washer container here and the engine oil dipstick. If you do need to top up the oil, the filler cap is here on the engine cover. Incidentally, if you have the 4-cylinder or diesel model, you'll find the oil dipstick on the right-hand side of the engine. To fill up, push the right-hand side of the flap and hook the cap over the edge. Oh, and on petrol engine cars, only use unleaded. You'll also find the recommended tyre pressures listed here. And if you are checking the tyre pressures, don't forget the spare wheel. You'll find that under the boot floor. Now, the toolkit and jack are located here on the left. And if your car has alloy wheels, you'll also have a little nut in the toolkit like this. Now, this is a special locking nut, and it has to be used to undo the anti-theft wheel bolts. And if you are going to change a wheel, it's important that you read the relevant section in your owner's handbook, as there are a number of safety precautions you should be aware of. You'll also need to put out the warning triangle, which stows away neatly in the boot lid. If you specified split-folding rear seats, which, by the way, are standard in the Avant, to fold them down, move the adjustable seatbelt guides to one side and pull the release lever towards you. Remember, if you're carrying large loads, put the heaviest items as far forward as possible. There are also 4 fastening rings on the boot floor, which you can use to tie items down to. When you put the seats back, make sure the rear seatbelt guides are clear and that the catches are properly engaged. For added security, you can also lock the seats in place using the master key. In the rear doors, you'll find another useful safety feature, child locks. Just pull this lever up and the door can't be opened from the inside. To disengage, push the lever down. And finally, moving round to the front, the fuse box is located here. All the various fuses are listed, and there are 2 spares. There's also the lever to manually open and close the electric sunroof in the unlikely event that it fails. Now, if you want to know more about the various maintenance items I've shown you, you'll find there's a very helpful section in your owner's handbook. If you've bought an A4 Avant, you might be forgiven for thinking this video was a little one-sided. The truth is, everything I've told you about also applies to the Avant, including the advice on folding rear seats and stowing luggage. However, I should point out one important feature of the Avant, the rear wash wipe. It's switched on by pushing the windscreen washer stalk away from you. To wash the window, push the button for a few seconds. From time to time, you'll need to fill the rear screen washer tank, which you'll find on the right-hand side of the luggage compartment behind this panel. I think I've covered just about everything on your car, but there's also a wide choice of accessories. Now, I'll bet you're thinking here comes the sales pitch, but actually there are good reasons for buying accessories from your Audi centre. All of them have been rigorously tested by Audi, and in many cases they're designed specifically for your car. There are racks for a variety of different loads, including bikes. If you've a trailer or caravan, have you remembered to have a tow bar fitted? And if you've children, you should take a look at the range of child seats. Oh, and I nearly forgot. You may want to upgrade your alarm system for one that offers a higher degree of security. In the case of accessories that you fit yourself, another important reason for buying them from your Audi centre is that they can show you the correct way to fit them. This is particularly important in the case of child seats, where roadside checks by the police and the RAC have shown that as many as 2 out of 3 are incorrectly fitted. The experience and enjoyment of owning an Audi always extends well beyond the car itself. You're backed by a comprehensive customer care package, which includes a 3-year dealer warranty, 3-year paint warranty, and a 10-year anti-corrosion warranty. You also receive 12 months free membership of Audi's Roadside Assistance and Recovery Scheme, which is operated by the RAC. If you continue to have your car serviced at an Audi centre, it'll be free for a further 2 years. You'll find the phone number in your handover wallet. Oh, and whoever's driving the car can use this service. You may wish to increase this cover further with an extended warranty package. This covers tyres and interior fabrics, as well as many other items which may not be included in your insurance. Now, throughout this video, I've made numerous references to your Audi centre. If you've any further queries, they'll be happy to answer them for you. Finally, I'd like to thank you for watching. I hope you found it useful, and if anybody else is likely to be driving the car, can you please pass this tape on to them? But I have to admit, however much I've told you about your Audi, there's really no substitute for driving it yourself.